Oh my god, I can't believe I am recording the 50th episode of the Arts to Hearts podcast. I started this podcast in March of 2021. Since then, a lot has happened in my life. I started this podcast because I wanted to create a space for myself and so many more people like me who wanted to have transparent conversations, who love talking to women and creators, especially. And I thought, why not? Why not create a podcast where I can have these conversations and in that process share with so many people who may be interested. And thanks to you, you've made this dream possible for me and for so many of us. I can't believe that we are 50 episodes in. Yes, this is the 50th episode of the Arts to Hearts podcast, and you are with me, the host of the Arts to Hearts podcast and the founder of Arts to Hearts project, Charuka. Firstly, I want to say a big thank you because if you're even listening this for the first time or if you're a regular listener, you've truly made this possible for me. The 50th episode means that I've been here 50 times, sometimes twice a week. I have met over and spoken over, interviewed over almost 35 artists from around the globe, 35 international women artists, and only in a period of 8 months? Oh my god, I can't believe that. I have spoken to people that I admired, got to know so much as an artist, like, how many things that goes behind the scenes. I know what happens in my studio, but it's so much more empowering, uplifting, and eye-opening with what happens in the minds, hearts, and the studios of so many other artists like me, who have chosen a creative life, a creative career, who spend hours in isolation, who spend years crafting their own practice, finding their ways, figuring out their businesses, and so much more. Okay, again, I want to say a big welcome to the Arts to Hearts podcast, and this special episode is for you. I want to dedicate this to you because if you wouldn't have been here, I don't think I would have been able to be so consistent and feel so empowered. And I want to come back here because I know you're here, all of you who come and listen to this podcast, send your messages. Your support, your love has pushed me really, really so much. Okay, for this episode, I actually wanted to speak about something that really happened recently, and it was like a little incident that triggered so many feelings for me, some good, some bad, but also it's one incident that made me realize that why am I here and why I'm doing this. So let me quickly share in this episode. If you know, this is a mini episode where I share my experiences, what I've learned, something that's happened, or some advices, or we bring guest host. But recently I've started doing more of these solo episodes, just a way to document my own journey, share it with you, and just build a relationship with more transparency and see what goes behind in running anything and everything that goes into being a creative. Okay, so let me tell you what happened. So I called up one of my friends, and like how social media works, we all think everyone's doing great, everyone is doing good, successful, and all of those things. But that's actually not the entire truth. So, to what I believe that my friend was doing great and achieving all the goals, crushing in her career and everything. And when I spoke to her, to my shock, she shared completely something opposite to that, which was that she wasn't really enjoying what she was doing, and that she was basically not in a good place and was not feeling as supported as she would like to. Now, you know, on a typical day, I wouldn't have felt this way. But sometimes when you hear someone else's struggle, insecurities, and you feel like, if you're an empath, you feel very connected and associated to them. And a lot of times when you have similar insecurities like someone else, when they rise for them, they may rise for you as well. And that's what happened with me. So when I was speaking to my friend, I spoke to her, and we discussed about why things were not working out, how she was not liking it, how she was so scared, and all of those things. And I, of course, uplifted her, shared my advice, showed her support, and all of those things. And when I left that call, I sat to myself, and for some reason, I felt triggered and freaked out because somehow, when on that call, the fears that she spoke about were very real, and fears that I also had within me, but I was, in a way, fighting them every day. Um, the fear of not being enough, the fear, what if this is not my path, the fear, what if I just got lucky a few times and maybe it wouldn't happen again, the fear that art is maybe not the most sustainable career, what if everything crashes down one day. Sometimes I would wake up and I would feel like, what the hell am I doing? How am I going to make this work? How do I keep going? And some other days I feel like, oh my god, I'm so aligned with who I am, what I want to do. And honestly, it's never a linear line. It's always like a graph that keeps coming up and down. So on that day, on when I woke up, I had no such feelings. But when I spoke to her and I kept the call, I felt the panic and the trigger within me, and I was like, I felt like those fears that we spoke about were suddenly not only hers but mine. Of course, they were within me, but at that moment, they felt like they were just they took over. They took over because I felt like, oh my god, what if she's struggling? What if um, am I not being too practical? Am I not being enough? Am I what if I think everything works out, and what if everything does not work out? And it took me a while to put myself together. And at that point, I realized that if I don't speak to someone myself, I I wouldn't be able to get through this. So, like always, I spoke to my friend and my partner, who I confide very closely to, and I spoke to him and I shared how I feel so scared. And I don't know. I think every entrepreneur, any artist, anyone who's set their way on an unexplored path feels this every other day. The fear of unknown, the fear of success. But even then, we pursue what we want to do because we're passionate about it. And I remember sharing this with my partner on a drive, and I cried for a very long time. I cried so much because I had a like in the past few months I had a really hard time, and I felt like, what if I am not, I felt like I was not doing enough because of my own personal life, because all of that was happening, and my thought that if I'm not performing enough, it's not going to work enough. And what if it just worked because I got lucky? What if things don't work in the future? How unpredictable a creative career is. Even though I have been a creative professional working on my own for the past almost 8 years now. I started my freelance when I was in college. I'm not, let's say, even I don't consider those 2 years, I still am a working professional for the past 8 years. I've been working on my own as a creative for so many years. And in spite of that, every few months, every few years, this fear comes back. And I told him how scared I was, and how this whole incident not only like it reminded me of my own insecurities, of how hard I feel it sometimes. And at one point I felt like, oh my god, how am I going to pick myself back again from here? Because I felt like at some point I felt like those fears had taken over me so much that I did not have any more power to just go through, like, get over them. And the good thing is that my partner is also an entrepreneur. He's been um, in in this business world for so long, and he completely gets what I feel. I get what he faces, and that is when that is why I always confide within him, because you know I know he gets it. And we spoke about how both of our paths are unexplored, sometimes very terrorizing and hard. And, like, how even though it feels very hard, we still want to do it, and why we want to do it. And he reminded me to ask myself those questions of why am I still doing it, and what if I don't, what if I don't do it? Will I be able to accept the fact that I don't do all the things that I'm doing today? And also acknowledging the fact that sometimes someone else's fears are not entirely ours, that we may have similar fears, but we deal differently, we act differently, and we feel differently. What may be true for someone may not be true for you. And in that whole hiatus, I felt like, oh my god, um, at one point I was freaked out, but a few, like an hour later, when I was cooled down, I vented out everything I had within me. I realized that even though how hard it would be, how hard it already is, how unpredictable, um, lonely, difficult all of this feels, it still fulfills me. It excites me. It still feels that I am going where I want to be, and I trust that as I have found my path, the easy or the hard way in these past few years, I'm still going to find it from here. Um, and then I asked myself that we all have those fears. For some, it's real because maybe it's not their path. And for some, it's just a fear that we all have, the fear of unknown, the fear of, um, you know, walking an unexplored path. And then I sat to myself and I envisioned, like, if I'm feeling this way, let me check out why, why, why am I? And if there's something really real within that. And I asked myself is, you know, what I truly envision for my life. If I don't see myself on this creative path, do I see somewhere else? Do I want to chase something different than where I am right now? And to all those questions, my answer was very different, because I felt in my soul, I feel very aligned to what I'm doing. Of course, I'm not perfect. I still struggle. Things still don't work out a lot of times. All of those things. But I know that that's a part of the process. And I know what's keeping me behind and all of those things. But in my heart, I knew that I always envisioned a life where I could be, creatively empowering on my own, create more opportunities for other people, to have a voice of my own, to share with that. I never thought to be able to work for someone else. For some reason, I always loved my autonomy on my projects. I love working to my own schedules. I can't commit to one thing. I love exploring in different directions, and the path that I've taken is something that I have purposely cultivated and created in a way that gives me the power to explore in so many different creative directions. In today I'm recording this podcast. I'm running Arts to Hearts project, which is a platform where we create opportunities for artists. I host studio visits. I get to speak to so many inspiring women, creatives, other creatives, and then I have my own creative practice. Of course, I want to add so much more, and believe me, I have been working on so many new things behind the scenes. Of course, there are little side projects, passion projects, projects of interest, nothing serious, nothing that's going to come out very soon. But yeah, it keeps me um, it keeps me ignited, it keeps me sparked, and that's what really matters to me. I want to get up every day and feel that I want to do this. And on most days, I do feel that. Not on every day, because that's not how, I mean, it doesn't work that way, at least not for me. And in in that in that hour, I felt like I still feel all those fears. I still felt all those fears even then. But what was even more powerful was my vision of where I want to be, and how passionately I want to be there, and I don't want to give up for anything else. Not for money, not for pride, not for anything. I want to do this because my heart truly, truly wants it, and I've been doing this because my heart truly, truly wants it. Why I'm sharing this with you is what I learned with this incident was that sometimes when we hear someone else's fears, we need to realize and remember that not all fears are ours. This came to me as a reminder that whatever I take from the outside world, I need to filter it for myself and understand that um, what I'm feeling may be completely for a different reason, completely, um, you know, different. And I don't have to, I need to keep this boundary with myself where I need to understand that not all those fears are truly always mine. And sometimes, what I really realized from this incident was that we actually need to keep facing our fears every now and then in whatever form they come, because what happened post this incident was that I became more confident of what I wanted. I was reminded that even though my fears still live inside of me, I have to fight them every day, because what I want will come after this. So, write that book even if you're scared of. Make that series even if it's risky, it's off your style, or record that podcast, or launch that platform, do that magazine, launch that consulting, or change that career. No matter what that is, if that's what your heart wants, even though it makes you scared as hell, it freaks you out, it freezes your body, it's okay. We all feel that. I feel that. We all do. I know that. So many of close people of mine reside in me, and most of them, honestly, are creative entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs and or artists. So we all feel that, but in spite of that fear, we every day choose to do what we want to do, and ahead of that is what lies our dreams. And that's okay to have days like these. I remember when I wanted to start this podcast, I thought about launching a podcast for over a year, and it took me so long to get over that fear of holding this mic or recording, editing my episode, putting, sharing my real self. Oh my god, I can't even tell you how freaked out I was about that. And not that I feel so much better now. It feels very natural to me, but not that I'm not afraid. At times I am. Sometimes when I'm sharing something that's very personal, something that may not show the best side of me, or whatever those reasons may be, um, it still freaks me out. But ahead of that, I know lies what I want to create. I want to create this as a place where I don't have to pretend I'm perfect. I don't have to pretend I know it all. In fact, I want to create a space where I share that this has happened to me. I am in this. Is anyone out there here who's feeling the same way as am I? Or that I know that I and people around me are feeling this. So if you are alone, don't forget that we are all with you in this. So, yeah, the 50th episode is this reminder for myself and you that we're all together in this. We freak out, we panic, we feel scared, but after that, we realize what we truly want. When your heart truly wants to pursue something, even when you're so scared of it, it is only your passion that takes you forward. Nobody wants to go through that horror or that experience because you they want to give it a try. They truly want to make that possible, and if you keep at it, I truly believe in this, that if you keep at it, it's going to get you where you want to be. So, yeah, that's what the 50th episode is. Again, I can't believe I'm recording this 50th episode, sharing my life, my everything, learning from so many people, doing this. It still feels like a dream come true. I am so grateful for you. I really, really want to say a big thank you. Maybe I'll do something special. I still haven't thought about it. But you know what's also, while I record this, I also feel like we often need to celebrate little achievements, little experiences that um, we all will remember all our lives. I would remember when I launched this podcast, and today feels even special because I I said to myself that I'm going to do this no matter how hard it gets, even if it shows no results. I'm going to do this every week for the next 100 episodes. Yes, I committed to myself that I'm going to show up here for 100 episodes no matter what. Even if nobody comes in, even if nobody hears it, or even if it feels hard, I'm terrible at it, whatever. I'm going to do that for 100 episodes and see how it goes. I'm 50 through. I feel so much better. I have hell lot of you. We've crossed over, I don't know, 6,000 listens or something. We have a great community. I've had such a big support system via this podcast. And I receive so many messages that you find these conversations uplifting, supportive, honest, and just real and human. I feel that's so important. That's so important to me. And I will keep doing at it because I have reached halfway my goal, and way I know I'm going to be way more ahead of where I thought I wanted to be with this. I committed to 100 episodes because I did not know how it's going to turn out for me, but apparently this is what I truly wanted for so long. And let's get to next 50. Let's get to the 100 first, and let's celebrate. First, let's celebrate that we're here. Let me think. If you have an idea, do you want me to do something? How about we bring a few more listeners online and record an episode with our listeners? Or tell me, you can go to www.arts2heartspodcast.com and you'll see a small icon with recording, and you can just record your audio and send us there. Maybe if you all send, how about let's try this. How about you send a message about the podcast if you're a regular listener, or if you've heard this for the first time, whatever feels, if you feel called to, go click on www.arts2heartspodcast.com, record a message, send it to me, tell me why you listen to this podcast, why has it, if it's helped you anyway, or what would you want to convey to us, as a listener, as someone who's just part of this community. And how about we have an episode that is just about all of you, all of your voices, adding your voice to the numbers. I mean, how beautiful would that be? But I can't make that possible without you. So you'll have to go on www.arts2heartspodcast.com right now and send me a voice message. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you like this podcast, why you like this podcast. If it's helped you, what would you want more? And let's make this possible. Again, I want to say a big thank you for doing this. A big thank you for, being a big support for this podcast, for me, for this community, for everything else you do, for showing up for yourself, for committing to your own self improvement and to your own dreams. I'm sending you lots of love and a big hug. And if you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else you listen to your podcast, because it really, really helps me push this forward to reach it to a newer audience, widen our community. That's such a big goal of mine. And just make this a more beautiful space. Okay, so thank you so much. I love you, and I'm going to be back soon. And till I see you again, sending you a big hug. Love you. Bye.